look here at project start to finish, beginning at what kind of directory structures you might want to look at. The DOT's got a pretty deep one, and we're not going to go to that extent, but we're going to look here at computer, here, in the users, and this again is akin to what you'd see at home if you're setting up and getting, and I would recommend you getting a home computer if you have one. I'm sorry, I would recommend you getting this program on there. I've got a directory structure with some place for points, drawings, XMLs. Perhaps you might add something like correspondence, and perhaps maybe even something like images. Right, and inside some of the drawings, you'll see this might be where you're going to store things, but these would be your reference drawings here. We have some stuff that you might recognize, and you might have some point files. You might have all kinds of different data, but it's all stuck in a directory structure. So when you go through now and then go ahead and begin a new project, you're going to go through again this process of, you're going to go through a new project of beginning with the right template. I cannot stress this enough. And the template can be any number of different ways. The template is very often a drawing. We're going to continue here. And I'm going to kind of fit this in a second here into the window here. We're going to run this in 10-minute increments, and then we're going to do it in real time. So you can realize that this is not an hours project. This is an hour project to do a basic design. So we're going to go here with our new, and we're going to think, can we find the right spot? You see there's all kinds of different things around to find it. I know for me this is going through DOT, support, tool palette. You kind of got to know where your projects are at. Blocks. I'm going to go and begin with the eTopo drawing, just so we can kind of look at what types of things exist in this one. One particular student was looking for a set of blocks, and the kind of things that come in with a drawing are things like blocks. So we're going to go ahead here, get this down here, close that out, maximize it here, and look at what layers are set up in this. And it looks like the DOT has them all set up. And you might then also want to look at the idea of an insert and see what, right, if you notice here, this has a good set of different symbols around that you're going to see. So this is probably better than the XTopo, and I'm going to go ahead and use that. This would be the basic data template. Alright, and it comes in with an 11 by 17 sheet and 8.5 by 11, and so you start with what? Probably a cadastre map. So the kind of things you can do is you can learn to do things like either insert or xref to get that cadastre map in, and if you're going to do the things like make a layer, I'm going to make a couple layers here, a layer called Z cadastre. Adding that Z, I'll go with the underscore here, Z underscore cadastre. It's an ER or an R cadastre. It's an RE. You hit a return here, you see that's going to come in white. Normal. You might want to think about right away your pen tables. You see that my pen table is not set up, but in the end I'm going to go ahead and make that current. I hit a check here. That will bring in, when I go ahead and bring in my cadastre map, I can do it now with an xref. I don't need to do an insert all the time. I can go ahead and know where to get it, attach a drawing, and it's going to want to go to, you got to know where to go, documents. So one up and then higher than that, it was final review, it was down into the drawings, and this was the Nick Social. Remember to put things at 0, 0, 0, and otherwise there. We're going to go Z extents, and we kind of have here, this is xref, and you see that xref, the bad thing about it or the good thing about it is the fact that it brings in things lighter. I'll try it again here, xref. This time we're going to attach a drawing, and we're going to attach in the crisp flat building. kind of got a good base map, if you would. And realistically, you don't need to do the rest of this, but we're going to go ahead and bring in a layer, call it Z points. So we're going to say minus layer new Z underscore points, color white, Z underscore points, and set Z underscore points. Lots of different ways to do that, getting used to kind of keying things in. Remember, you can bring points in a great number of different ways, but what we've been doing is we've been going insert points from a file. Remember that your PNEZD, comma and delimited, you're going to go ahead and find a source file. Once again, we had that down in the final review. We had it in points, and we remember that there's all kinds of different file types that we'll take. This, I believe, the way you guys had it laid out was all point files, and you had a CSV file. And we're going to say OK, and it brings in a bunch of points in whatever layer. We're not going to do, we now have essentially a set of points which we can begin working here to make its surface. Obviously you spent a lot of time on it. Before you go ahead and make a surface, you want to make maybe another particular layer, and we could go use the DOT, or if you're organizing here you can continue to add those Z layers. And so I'm going to once again add a layer Z underscore boundary again. We'll probably give this another different layer. We're not going to be plotting it. We'll give it some odd green layer. Hit OK. It's there. You remember that in AutoCAD it is a two-dimensional polyline that makes the best border, and so I'm going to make that P line. As long as you begin at not at elevation, you can kind of draft around, and realistically what you do very often is making that boundary go all the way around, and even through things like ponds or something like that, you would have an exterior boundary, and particularly some high boundaries in the buildings. We're not going to do that here. We're just getting to a point where you've got a boundary. It's a closed polyline, so we close that. Now we have a boundary, and we can go ahead and make our points. I'm sorry, go ahead and make our 10. We go to here. We've got this idea of prospect or settings, and we're going to go ahead and make a surface. Right click, you're going to create a surface, and you're going to give it your number before you give it the name. Really haven't been seeing people concentrating on that. That's just to get you to learn how to give things names so you don't get lost. We're going to go ahead and realize we have a surface here. We can now, I didn't finish out the command, we're going to create a surface. We're going to go a 10 surface here, and we lose it on the bottom here. That's why I didn't hit it. We're going to go 999. Let's go X topo. Hit OK. Once you have a surface, you're going to define it with points, polylines, boundaries. Right click here. We're going to go ahead and add point groups. In this case, you only had one. We're going to grab that one. And then we're going to also, then if you see that, we're going to go ahead and add a boundary after we add the points. So we're going to go ahead and go to boundaries, add boundary, give it the name exterior. Hit OK. Grab that. And it closes up that tin. So you now have a surface called 999X topo. You have a cadastre map, and you have some underlying topography brought in by an XREF. That will be the first of our start to finish. You've gotten to the point where you're ready to make the alignment. You've been working at a 1 to 200, and you began at the correct Template adding
I think
Z
I spelled pretzel
layers.